Hello and welcome back to the Toffee Blues YouTube channel, your source for all things Everton. Welcome back to the first opposition view of the season. Our season does kick off against Southampton, so I'm joined today by Harry from the Saints Score. Harry, thanks for coming on today. How are you doing?
Anytime. I'm excited. I'm really excited for the Premier League to start. So yeah, thanks for having me on.
Yeah, absolutely. It seems like a long time ago since the last season, even though the break hasn't been too long. And the place I inevitably want to start is transfers. Before we get to Everton's transfer business, which it has been quiet with, just a quick rundown. Obviously, you've sold Danny Ings to Aston Villa. Yannick Vestergaard, just before we started this video, sounds like he's off to Leicester for 15 million. I think I saw that. Ward-Prowse, Villa have been circling around him for a while. Spurs as well. So what are your thoughts, on all these key players leaving? Before we get to the replacements, that's basically the spine of your team there that could be leaving.
Yeah, I was going to say Bertrand's left as well at left back. He's gone to Leicester, which has been a difficult one. Vestergaard, about 2 years ago, if you told me I was getting £15 million for Vestergaard, I'd be more than happy. But he's really turned into one of our key players. Ward-Prowse happily on the fans forum yesterday that I was listening to. He's not going anywhere, so I'm quite happy about that. But yeah, Ings was a painful one. He only had a year left in his contract. Everywhere was saying, nope, he's only going to go to one of the top three teams, not even Arsenal, not even Liverpool. And then when I was looking around, I think it was in the stadium at the time, and they just announced it right before a home friendly. It really sort of deaded the attitudes and deaded the whole stadium. But yeah, we got 30 million, so I was okay with that in the end, really looking forward.
Yeah, absolutely. And just this more of a personal question. Vestergaard for 15 million, that seems like a slightly low fee. I know you mentioned a couple of years ago, maybe wasn't brilliant, but I think he really has kicked on there. Are you maybe slightly disappointed at that?
I'm disappointed, but with only a year left on his contract, I think he's about 28, 29. When you've just got under 12 months, I think for Højbjerg, we only got about that fee as well. I think that's the main frustration. As we've had Ings, we've had Vestergaard, and we had Højbjerg all in their last year of the contract. So that's why these £15 million are getting chucked around. So it's frustrating, but I feel like we'll be able to reinvest that money quite wisely. And with Salisi coming through, with Bednarek still young as well, I think if we sell Vestergaard, I think our average age of a centre-back is 23, which is a bit worrying because there's a lack of experience. But overall, I think we'll do okay.
Yeah, that was kind of leading me on to my next question. Obviously, you've replaced Danny Ings with Adam Armstrong, who, he's had a couple of brilliant seasons in the Championship. And obviously nothing has been agreed for Vestergaard yet, so, no centre-half replacement there. So Adam Armstrong, do you think he's going to be an adequate replacement for Danny Ings?
Almost certainly. I was looking at the stats earlier because we got Che Adams in the Championship as well. I think he got 15 goals before he came, but he took 28 games to settle in. That goal against Man City was definitely worth it. But I was having a look around. I think he took about 5 shots a game in the Championship, which is really impressive. Ivan Toney was the only guy to outscore him, but from open play, Adam Armstrong really strong. Scores with his left, scores with his right, and he's a danger of his head as well, which is quite surprising for a short guy. But he's someone that likes to run in behind. Che would do that well, about knocking the ball on him. And I think he's sort of an exact Danny Ings replacement, but sort of for our level of budget. A lot of people are looking at the Tammy Abrahams, looking at the Edouard, looking at Sorloth as well, who's at Crystal Palace. But I think Armstrong for 15 million, that's a Southampton type of signing. I think it's got the entire fan base excited, really.
Yeah, he did have he's had a couple of brilliant seasons, hasn't he, for Blackburn? Obviously didn't quite work out for him at Newcastle, but he's had a few years under his belt, been scoring goals. And obviously last season, probably, a fairly disappointing season. You've had European pushes. Hasenhüttl, when he first came in, you went on, you kind of had that natural bounce back. So coming off the back of last season, with, selling the players that we mentioned, how confident are you going into the season? What is maybe the aim for Southampton now?
See, if you asked me 48 hours ago when we had no striker replacement and we were going into the season with Shane Long and Obafemi and Adams as well, I'd be lying if I was saying I wasn't nervous. But now we've got a couple of attacking replacements. I think for the last few years, we've just sort of said, we're not going to stay up necessarily because we're amazing. Don't get me wrong, I still think our squad's okay, especially with the youth that's coming through. But I think at the moment, we're looking at the teams like Newcastle, like Burnley, like Norwich, like Watford, and thinking, if there's just 3 or 4 teams worse than us, we won't stay up due to our quality, but we're just better than them. So yeah, I predict around a 14th, 15th place finish. And I think most people would be relatively satisfied with that. Our only worry is that I think a lot of fans still feel like Hasenhüttl, he might leave if there's not potential, if there's not a project that you can see. We didn't get him from Leipzig. He left Leipzig to come, I think, a few months after he left. But he seems like someone who's been linked with a lot of top teams. If we don't put the money in, look at Aston Villa. That we were the sort of the same page as them a couple of years ago. They almost got relegated, and now look at their squad now. It's completely been overwhelmed by that Jack Grealish selling, and they've got Buendia and all those top players now. So yeah, if we can just stay up this season, hopefully the season after, maybe get a new owner that would like to invest. But as long as we're a stable Premier League club, I think most fans will be pretty happy.
Yeah, absolutely. And moving on to Everton, we've had somewhat of a turbulent summer. Ancelotti leaving, Rafa Benitez. We'll start there. What did you make of that whole scenario? What do you make of Rafa Benitez as a manager? And your general hopes for us. Well, not hopes, sorry, but your general predictions for us for the season coming.
Yeah, I thought it was a bit of a strange situation. I wasn't 100% sure. I'm still not sure really now how many Everton fans like it. I think I don't want to say percentages because I don't want to give you a strange look, but it does seem quite Marmite, yes and no. Some fans like he's a great manager. Some are like, no, he's been at Liverpool, no thank you. But I think it's an okay appointment. I think he did all right with Newcastle with the money that he had. Obviously, he had spells at Chelsea where he did quite well. Liverpool, we all know a spell at Liverpool. But I'm just looking at the transfer business, and I wouldn't say I'm worried. I'm just a bit underworked. Like I'm looking around. I'm looking Townsend, okay for a free Damari Gray. Okay, Begovic, all right, backup keeper, not much. I was expecting a bit of a couple signings here and there, really. So the squads, I was expecting a few more changes, a couple of £20 million signings here or there. But yeah, I think it's going to be another sort of 10th, 12th sort of season, get that stability, and then hopefully you can kick on after that.
Yeah, it has been a disappointing summer, especially considering the money we've spent in the previous few years. Clearly, financial fair play is taking its toll on us, while Aston Villa are accelerating their investments. So it's all quite frustrating to see. And as you mentioned, fairly underwhelming signings, kind of basically all we can afford within the restrictions at this point. But starting a new season, starting afresh, it's always difficult to predict, how you're going to start the season, what lineup you're going to be. Maybe there'll be a new system, but is there kind of, any injury news, any major players that you might have out?
See, the big concern is that Ward-Prowse has only played one pre-season game, and that was right at the start of the pre-season. I think it was a behind closed doors game against Fulham. It was a bad challenge or a tackle that just resulted in an injury. And now he's missed every single game, even the most recent one, meaning that he's back in training, he's got his knees strapped, and I think he's got 3 sessions under his belt, or by the time the game comes up. But that's our massive injury worry. Apart from that, there's a couple of players like Will Smallbone who probably wouldn't have started anyway, but he's definitely a squad player. But yeah, Ward-Prowse is the main one. I think apart from that, we've got a clean bill of health. But for a guy that's played every single game of our last 2 seasons, it's quite a big worry, even if it's just one player.
Yeah, absolutely. So kind of just off the back of that, what kind of system can we expect you to employ? And maybe, a prediction of a potential starting 11?
So I'm looking. I don't think he's going to change it much. I think the 4-2-2-2 is going to stay. I think Forster will start in goal. I think I'm looking at the 2, and I think at the moment he does prefer Forster, although he said he will change it throughout the season, depending on performances, as many words. Perard's our new signing at left back. He's the man that replaces Bertrand, and a lot of Saints fans from pre-season are excited about him. Looking at the centre-back, a lot of people want to see Salisu, and I think that will happen next to Bednarek. And at right-back, between Livramento and Kyle Walker-Peters, I think Kyle Walker-Peters had an excellent season last year. And although a lot of people are excited about Livramento, I think it's a step too far just yet. So I think Kyle Walker-Peters will be there. I think we'll put Ward-Prowse in there. I think he wants to keep his record. I think he's still our best central midfielder by far, so he'll be there next to Oriol Romeu, who missed the back end of last season due to injury. And then it's the attacking zone. That's the one where anything can happen, really, because of the signings we made. I think Stuart Armstrong on the right, I think he's a shoe, and I think he's the guaranteed right attacking midfielder. I believe Gineppo's going to probably play on the left. He's had an okay pre-season. He's had an underwhelming 2 years at St Mary's, but I think he's the most exciting out of the possibilities. And then I'm looking up front, and I'm going to say I think they will start Armstrong. I think they're going to chuck him right up there, and they'll put Adams next to him. Maybe Teller, maybe Walcott, but I think it's going to be Adams and Armstrong up front to lead the line in the 4-2-2-2 system.
Yeah, obviously you mentioned Walcott there, a man to be honest, until you mentioned his name, I completely forgot. He's joined you on a permanent now. Obviously, his contract expired at Everton at the end of the season. So, kind of, what have you made of his progression? Maybe some Everton fans will be wondering, where does he really? Because you mentioned he might play at striker there. That's probably something we never imagined at his time as Everton. But were you happy when he joined on a permanent deal?
To be honest, I was really excited. I don't know why, because obviously he's a Saints lad, or at least he was in the academy at Saints just before my time, just a couple years. But I was really excited just to see someone that used to wear a Saints shirt back in the Saints shirt. his wages, they were a bit of a concern. I saw he forego a lot of his bonuses just to come to St Mary's, which is an encouraging sign to see. You know, he could have went to Palace, got the full package, but he wants to come to St Mary's. And I think that's what a lot of Saints fans like, that you've got a player that really wants to play for you. But it does seem he'll do a lot of huffing and trying to produce something, but he'll only get a couple goals and assists at the end of the season. So he's another one of those wingers that we have. He's similar to Elianusi and Gineppo and Redsman, that he'll get 2 goals and 2 assists across the entire season. But he's someone that tries to do stuff, and I think that's all we can ask for. And we got him on a permanent basis. I think it's a 2-year deal, and I think he'll help a lot of the youth players. I saw Taylor. I was watching a podcast with Taylor on it. He's apparently a massive role model, just in the whole team, really. So that's a good thing. So yeah, it's an okay side and good for squad depth, but hopefully not much more than that.
Absolutely, and that brings me close towards the end of the video. 2 more questions left. We've spoken about pre-season, we've spoken about transfers. What's your score prediction for this match then?
Thing is, a lot of teams do okay at Goodison Park. We're not one of those teams. I just remember listening to Match of the Day in Sky Sports. It was Everton have won just one of their last 15 games or whatever, and that game was against us. I can remember. That happened for a lot of teams last year. I'm going to go for an ambitious 1-1 draw. I'm going to say that we're going to get a point on the opening day of the season. Yeah, for us it's ambitious because of, a lot of the signings have happened later in the window. I don't know what your guys' prediction is or what you think's going to happen, but yeah, I'm going to go for a 1-0. You're going to open the scoring, and then Armstrong's going to get one 20 minutes to the end of the game, and I think both teams will just be happy not to lose at the start of the season. Yeah,
I'm sure Rafa will want to start his first home game with a loss, especially. And you mentioned our home form there, and what you mentioned there, that a lot of teams struggled at home last season. New manager, new system, it kind of will be interesting. I can't really predict which way this is going to go because I've got no idea who's going to start, what kind of system we're going to play. It's been a very strange pre-season where we've had players injured, we've had players coming back from the Olympics, like with Richarlison last minute. We haven't had one system, because I really can't. I cannot quite make a prediction here, but I'm hoping for a win purely because we have to improve on that home front from last season, and I want to see that here. And final question is, we always like to ask a question completely unrelated to the match, unrelated to football. Any choice in the world, what bag of crisps would you be buying?
See, it's between 2. It would have easily used to have been barbecue hula hoops. You get them in the meal deal, it's always there. But I really enjoyed barbecue cheddars recently. So it's between the 2, and I'm only going to go hula hoops because it's a bigger bag, and I do enjoy food. So I'm going to go the barbecue hula hoops.
Well, there you have it then. Thank you very much. Harry, thanks for coming on. If our viewers, want to find more of your content, where can they find you?
So it's just at Saints_score. When we did that we didn't read it out. And then when we say it on podcast saying at Saints_score, it's a bit of a mouthful, but that's where you can find any sort of Saints related things. If you want to hear our preview for the Everton game as well, hit the link behind there, and that's where you can find everything.
Great, thank you very much. Obviously, all of Harry and everyone's links will be in the description. Thank you very much for watching. Be sure to check out the comments. Let us know what your predictions are going to be. Check out all the social media. So thank you very much for watching, and join us next time on the Toffee Blues. Everton!